These are the biggest lies and ads that millions of people still believe, even though they read not true. Number 10. Vacuum cleaners with rotating brushes are better at cleaning carpets. This is an old wives' tale that has been around since the early days of vacuum cleaners. It makes sense because if you look at a vacuum cleaner with a rotating brush, it looks like it is doing a much better job than one that simply uses suction to pick up dirt and debris. But it's also a lie. Diamonds are not forever. They can and do break. But did you know that drinking too much water can actually be dangerous? It's called water intoxication, and it happens when you drink more water than your body can get rid of. This is a common myth that many people believe, but it's not true. In fact, shaving does not affect how fast or thick hair grows. This is another common myth that people believe, but it's not true. Antibacterial soap became popular in the early 2000s, when it seemed like everyone was worried about germs. And other products promising that what's good for the earth is also good for us. But did you know that there is no scientific evidence to support this claim? In fact, some studies have found that natural products can be just as harmful to the environment as conventional products. For example, natural pesticides can be just as toxic to bees and other wildlife. Not only that, but natural products can also be less effective at treating certain conditions. For example, natural pain relievers such as turmeric and ginger are not as effective at relieving pain as conventional painkillers. So if you're considering switching to natural products, make sure you do your research first. Just because something is natural does not mean it's safe or effective. But did you know that there is no evidence that antibacterial soap is more effective at killing germs than regular soap? This is one of the biggest lies in ads that has been perpetuated for decades, but it's simply not true. Be careful of ads in the future and make sure you don't fall for these common scams. Thanks for watching. Diamonds are actually very common, and their prices are inflated due to clever marketing and branding. In fact, the vast majority of diamonds sold are not rare or valuable stones. They are commercially grown in labs and are much less expensive than natural diamonds. But the truth is that most people do and know this, and they continue to buy into the myth that diamonds are rare and valuable. As a result, they end up paying far more for a diamond than they need to. In fact, some studies have found that antibacterial soap may even be less effective. Not only that, but antibacterial soap can also be harmful to the environment. Many of the chemicals used in antibacterial soap are toxic to aquatic life and can contribute to the development of antibiotic resistance. So if you're worried about germs, don't worry. Regular soap is just as effective at killing them, and it's also better for the environment. Oily skin is caused by a number of factors, including genetics, hormones, and the environment. Eating too much fat is not one of them. In fact, there is no scientific evidence to support this claim. So if you have oily skin, don't blame yourself for eating too much fat. It's simply a part of your natural biology. And if you want to reduce the amount of oil on your skin, there are actually a number of things that you can do. One of the most effective methods is to use a facial scrubber. Facial scrubber is a device that uses gentle vibrations to remove excess oil and dirt from your pores. This can leave your skin looking and feeling cleaner and fresher. And the best part is that it doesn't require any harsh chemicals or treatments. The reason this myth persists is because when you shave, you're removing the hair at its surface level, which can make it appear as though the hair is growing back faster than before. However, this is just an illusion. The truth is that shaving does not change the growth rate or thickness of your hair. So if you're concerned about your hair growth, don't worry about shaving. It's not going to make things worse. This can cause a number of problems, including headaches, nausea, and even seizures. So how much water should you be drinking? According to experts, you should drink about 8 glasses of water per day. But it's important to listen to your body and drink only when you're thirsty. If you're constantly chugging down water even when you're not thirsty, you could be putting yourself at risk for water intoxication. In fact, diamonds are the hardest mineral on Earth, but they're not indestructible. And it usually happens when people are trying to buy something they really want, but can't afford. So they turn to a buy now, pay later service to help them out. But this is a big mistake. Buy now, pay later services typically charge high interest rates and hidden fees, which can end up costing you a lot of money in the long run. Plus, if you miss payments on your buy now, pay later account, it can negatively impact your credit score. So what should you do instead? If you can't afford to buy something, simply wait until you can save up enough money to pay for it outright. It may take some time, but it will be worth it in the end. They can be chipped, cracked, or even shattered if they're dropped or hit hard enough. So if you're wearing a diamond ring, be careful. It's not as invincible as you might think. The truth is that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but they're not the only thing that is. There are plenty of other beautiful and precious gemstones out there that can make a stunning piece of jewelry. So don't feel like you have to settle for a diamond. If you want something different, go for it. You deserve it. And so many companies have tried to capitalize on this myth over the years by making their products look like they have more power than they actually do. But the truth is that a vacuum cleaner with a rotating brush doesn't necessarily clean any better than one without. In fact, in some cases, they can actually make things worse by scattering dirt and debris around instead of picking it up. Why? Because when the rotating brush comes into contact with an obstacle, such as a piece of furniture or a rug, it can actually fling dirt and debris out from under the vacuum cleaner and onto your floor. Not only that, but rotating brushes can also damage your carpet over time by pulling on the fibers and causing them to unravel. So if you want a clean carpet, don't waste your money on a vacuum cleaner with a rotating brush. Instead, get one with a beater bar or a smaller brush that won't cause as much damage. No. 9. Deodorant reduces sweating. We all sweat. It's just what our bodies do to stay cool. But sometimes we sweat a lot, which can be embarrassing. That's why so many of us turn to deodorant to help keep our sweat under control. But did you know that deodorant doesn't actually reduce sweating? It simply masks the odor caused by sweat. In other words, it covers up the smell of sweat, rather than reducing the amount of sweat produced. In fact, some studies have found that using deodorant can actually make you sweat more. Why does deodorant work like this? Because it contains ingredients such as alcohol and fragrance that evaporate quickly. As they evaporate, they take the sweat with them, leaving you feeling dry and odor-free. But this is only temporary. As soon as you start sweating again, the deodorant will stop working. So if you're looking for a way to reduce sweating, deodorant isn't the answer. Instead, try using an antiperspirant, which actually blocks the sweat glands from producing sweat. No, 8 diamonds are forever. This famous slogan from a diamond company SAD campaign is one of the most iconic and enduring in history. Number 7, drink plenty of water. We've all heard this advice countless times, and we all know that it's important to stay hydrated. Number 6, buy now, pay later. This is one of the most popular and dangerous scams that people fall for every year. Number 5, shaving makes hair grow back faster and thicker. 4, oily skin is caused by eating too much fat. No. 3, antibacterial soap kills more germs than regular soap. No. 2, natural is better. We've all seen the ads for natural toothpaste, shampoos, soap. No. 1, diamonds are rare and valuable. So there you have it, the biggest lies and ads that people still believe even though they're not true.